to be covering Chapter 7, Teaching with Heart. And I chose this chapter because it is, to me, the most critical chapter. And I feel like it's so important for us to do that as teachers. So hold on. Let me get back to the beginning of my presentation. Sorry, I should have had this done already. So the teacher needs to obviously decide if this is the occupation for them. And a part of that is knowing the difference in occupation and vocation. I mean, yes, teaching is our occupation, but do we know the difference in occupation and vocation? An occupation is what you fill in on a form, on an application. And we all do that, and we put teachers or we put administration. So yes, it is our occupation, but a vocation is a steady career with strong earnings and wages. And so I really feel like it's a vocation as well. Occupation is a way that we spend time. Well, we spend time doing what? Educating children. So yes, it is an occupation in that aspect. A vocation is a strong feeling of suitability for a particular profession. For me, education is definitely a strong feeling of suitability for me. That is my dream. That is what I've always wanted to do, even as a little girl. So I can say that it's truly my vocation as well. And the root word for for occupation is processing, whereas the root word for vocation is call or calling. So I can answer that teaching is an occupation for me, but it's also a vocation. As a good teacher or an educator, we should do some different things. We should teach from one's inwardness. We need to show our true self to our students. You can't just not ever share anything personal with them, come to school and just be a concrete, this is the lesson, that's it, not getting to know our students, because we're hurting them in the process as well. And if we know ourselves as a person, that will help us see our students for who they are. It will give us that more understanding heart and forgiving heart and understanding our subject better as well. A good teacher is going to encompass 3 paths for himself. It talked about the landscape of teaching in our book, and these 3 paths are intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. And if we have those, then we have a wholeness. And if you don't, then you're not going to be able to teach your subject wholly, because you maybe are missing that emotional piece. And so we have to have those 3 key paths. Your connection to your students is what's going to allow you to be able to connect them to your subject that you teach. They're going to see she is truly passionate about reading, and they're going to want to read for you, and they're going to want to learn reading if they know that you love it and that you are passionate about it and the reasons why, and just letting them get to know you. Maybe you have a story from when you were in school and you were little, and sharing those things. And it's not just telling the kids, hey, this is what we're going to learn today, teaching the lesson. It's not teaching methods or technique. All those things are important, but being able to share your true identity, your passion, creating that feeling of community and the ability to connect with your students on a personal level, whether that means maybe going to a ball game of theirs or writing them a thank you note if they bring you something, or just pointing out the good things that they do. It's so important to encourage our students and make connections to them while they learn. Some of my favorite quotes from the reading from the book is, teaching, like any truly human activity, emerges from one's inwardness, for better or for worse. And that is so true. Good teaching cannot be reduced to technique. Good teaching comes from the identity and the integrity of the teacher. And I was doing a training yesterday for school, and it talked about how, ethics and morals and integrity is so important as a teacher, and how people in the world hold teachers to a higher standard. I mean, we are considered someone who's supposed to have morals and ethics and live in a glass house. And that's so hard sometimes because we're real people. We make mistakes, but each and every day we have to try hard. Identity and integrity have as much to do with our shadows. What did it just say? I lost. Oh gosh, sorry. Okay, just a second. Integrity, and let me go to the next page. Okay, so sorry about that. It's taking a while. Integrity and identity have as much to do with our shadows and limits, our wounds and our fears, as with our strengths and our potentials. And unlike many professions, teaching is always done at a dangerous intersection. And that intersection is our personal life and our public life. And how do we balance those to where we're not crossing boundaries, but yet we're making those connections that are so important? Claiming our heart. We all know that teaching is a profession where you get burned out, and the reasons for that are far and few between. So it may be because, the state's expectations are extremely difficult, or maybe we work in a really difficult school where the kids are extremely demanding and needy and hard to work with. But we tend to lose that passion and our love for teaching the more years of experience that we have. And it's not uncommon to lose heart when we teach, but being willing to keep your heart open, even when you feel like you cannot go on anymore, and realizing our true reason for being there and our value in those kids' lives. Accepting that you've lost heart and being willing to understand, I need to change my condition. I have a really bad attitude about this. I don't want to go to school today. They know that. They can see that. Your staff, your coworkers, they can see that. And so realizing you have something going on and you need to change it. That's so important. Disconnecting from your subject, from your students, or even from yourself is very obvious as educators. So what do? Well, we have to find that teacher within us again. We have to let the real us show up each and every day. Reclaim our attitude, reclaim our reason for being there, and understanding the value behind us with their lives. Conversate with colleagues. Maybe eat with them instead of going into your classroom every day. Go and eat with your teacher friends. Eat with your students. Just being vulnerable to open up and discuss what's going on in our classroom and professionally. And if we make those safe places, those trusting relationships, those connections with our students and the other coworkers and staff, then it's going to be so much better. Okay, well, we all know that we as need to feel loved and appreciated, and teachers and educators for sure need to feel that. So show appreciation and recognition, whether it's a little or a big thing, but being specific about what they did. And I'm going to speak from kind of like a curriculum instructor or an administrator's approach. That means the world to me when someone says, hey, I really liked how you taught that lesson. So as an administrator, I hope to be a positive inspiration and encouraging person for my staff. See the good in our staff, point it out consistently. Maybe you want to do a shout out board, but also seeking input, asking and listening, truly listening for input and considering it, being encouraging towards your staff and others in their efforts and what they've worked hard for. Some rewards, you could maybe once a month go and get a Sonic drink for your staff, or maybe just a $5 small gift card to Walmart or to Chick-fil-A or something like that. Just letters or notes of appreciation. Food, like maybe have a lunch for your staff one day, and you can always get help from parents and stuff to also provide those things. Recognizing their years of experience, whether it's verbally or like a little pin for 5, 10, 15, just recognizing their experience and all the time that they've given. Helping your employees be seen and to grow. Showcase their work and showcase their students' work. Just making those experiences, our interactions and our memories at our job, which is something that we're supposed to love, meaningful. And making connections, that to me is the most important. Making those connections with our kids is going to take you farther than anything else will in the classroom and in the school. And I'm so huge on connections, because if you don't know your kids, then you're not going to understand them. You're not going to be sympathetic to what happened last night at home or anything like that. We're just going to shut it off and, do our job. So anyway, I feel that is extremely important, and I hope that you